Hello everyone, thank you everyone for coming to our YouTube channel. I am Eleftheria from CrabNebula, and today I have the pleasure to have with me Mo. Mo, would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background?
Hey, nice to meet you, Electron. It's good to be on the channel. And I'm Mo. I'm co-founder and CEO of a product called Noor. It's a new chat app for teams that we use Tauri for, and the core components are written in Rust. And happy to chat about how we build it and why.
Amazing. I think that we will go into that in a little bit. So you mentioned Rust. Could you give us again a little bit of your background about why you used Rust or how did you get involved with Rust? And I think a little bit with Tauri as well, right?
Yeah, so I was a JS developer, and a year and a half ago, around 18 months ago, we said, okay, we have a requirement that we cannot achieve in Electron and JS. So we're going to just roll up our sleeves and start coding in Rust. And in a couple of months, we wrote our own media engine in Rust, RTC, and voice screen sharing. And yeah, it was complete noob back then, but there was no way to achieve what we wanted to build without learning to code in Rust. And then the best option to create a cross-platform app was Tauri. So there was options Electron, Tauri, and Swift. And there were a couple more options, but these are things we considered, and we ended up using Tauri.
That's amazing, and I hope that we will talk a little bit more about that later as we are going in this journey about Noor. So let us know what is Noor. Give us an introduction. Please also share your screen if you want,
Sure.
so we can also see that.
So this is our app, and you can see it's similar on the surface to common chat apps you use, but then the magic of Tauri is in native components and the native field, the speed, and things we could build in this presence area that is voice and hardware accelerated screen sharing, which uses completely native Rust solutions for all of them. And we don't use libwebRTC. And that's only possible because of Tauri. If you were in Electron, it would be like a huge amount of work to for each Rust module or native module we want to add. And even sometimes we had to fork Electron, and that's like lots of effort. But in Tauri, everything is simple. And even if something is missing in the core, we could just fork Tauri or contribute easily because the source code is much more readable and accessible to new people than Electron. So this is our web version of the app. Let me join this area. I'm going to join via the Tauri app in there. All right, so we have two avatars here. And if I click on this user, I immediately get connected via a Rust WebRTC engine. And if I talk here, I can hear it on the other side. So let me share my screen now via this app. And let me share the other screen. All right, now it's shared. And I can open it up here. As you can see, I get a cursor so we can collaborate. And then it's as easy as that. And this screen share just adds around 2% to the CPU usage because we use Apple native APIs that don't require software decoding and encoding. And yeah, I can also get into more details, but that's the demo of how the media engine works.
Okay, and what other technologies did you use for that? You mentioned Rust, Tairi, and what else?
Yeah, so we use this package for interfacing with Apple APIs through Rust. And this is like the Swift for Rust. It bridges all the Apple SDKs that are required to Rust, and it's super easy and nice to use. So we use it to capture a screen, encode video, and decode video on the other side, and render it on the screen via GPU accelerated rendering. Another package we use in Rust is Strum. This package is a Sans.io WebRTC implementation in Rust. It's essentially a libWebRTC without the media protocols in Rust. So if you go to the page, you can see a comparison of what things in WebRTC it provides and what else doesn't provide. So libWebRTC is what you see in Electron, things that Slack Discord uses. But in Strom, we had to build our own stuff for everything it didn't have. So all these red crosses, we built them ourselves. And if I had
Wow.
any idea of how hard it could be, I wouldn't have started. But it was too late to undo that, so I had to go through all of them. Fun story, I was capturing audio and trying to send it. And then I figured some problems. There were some glitches. And then I asked an expert in Rust and WebRTC, what's happening? He said, did you set up a jitter buffer? I said, what? What is that? I didn't know what was a jitter buffer. And only then I looked it up on Wikipedia, and okay, there are some problems in network where audio packets arrive instead of 1 to 3, 3 to 1. So you have to buffer them, keep them somewhere, and reorder them. And that's what a jitter buffer does in voice, and that's essential. So I had to build one myself. Wow. And then on, it was like, you need a TRN client. We don't have that. So we had to do that again. And I had to learn a lot in this process. But the easy interface to Rust from Tauri made it much simpler because I didn't have to learn C++ and the build tools.
Were there any alternatives for this that if you knew earlier you would have used them?
No, the only solution is linking against libRTC C++ library provided by Google and then embedding it into your application. Even apps written in Swift often do this because it's a really great library. But we want to do something different and special. And the reason we want to do that was because our previous product was using Electron, and we were constantly hitting roadblocks in that it was hard to change some internal configuration or optimize it or minimize latency or increase quality or use things we wanted to do. So we had this bet that we're going to do this ourselves. And so far, it's been great because the moment I saw that we're beating a Swift app in voice and screen sharing performance and CPU usage, that was when it clicked. I posted a video on my Twitter that I compared a common screen sharing app known for performance and low CPU usage with us, and we beat them.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you want to go back to the app and can you share a little bit?
I can show you a little bit of the packages too. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
please,
cut you off mid-question. So this is our monorepo for Noor, and it's a private repository on GitHub. It's not open source. You see, we've worked a lot on this, and we keep our backend, the front end, Rust packages in here. So the Rust packages we have are in the native folder. We also used something that Space Drive guys, I don't know if you've talked to them.
Yes, I know them.
Yeah, they worked on an FFmpeg library that extracted thumbnails from videos. So we also, because that was open source, we used that. And because for the chat, that's why ST FFmpeg ST stands for Space Drive. And then we have the capture module. This is the hardware accelerated capture for screen share. And this is the Tauri module. Currently, our RTC engine is embedded within the Tauri project. I should extract it, but yeah. Let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe it's unclear. Yeah, and then, yeah, we have our WebSocket module that contacts the server, the file handling. Everything is handled in Rust. We have some special features in the chats. For example, if you drop a folder onto the app, I can just demo it now. Let me go here. Let me open here. If I drop a folder here, okay, it seems like there's a permission issue. Let me see if upload works. So yeah, it's working. It automatically makes it a zip file and uploads it. So these are only possible because of having easy access to native API in Rust. It's only one command away to build such modules in Rust. and the upload handling is using a Tauri plugin called Tauri plugin download. I think we had to make some changes and contribute back, but yeah, generally what you want to do in Rust and Tauri now is easy and not too much work to do. And even sometimes it didn't do things we wanted to do. For example, we have something. Let me show you this one.
Yeah.
We have a little notification that pops up from the top. You can see here. By default in Tauri, you can show a window without grabbing focus, so the whole app would appear. It wouldn't be just a notification. But now, as you can see, if I close this app and then I I have this notification from this app. If I click it, I see the app. But without clicking that notification, it shouldn't grab focus. Maybe the person is typing, so this little notification shouldn't interrupt them. So we had to just use window.ns window, and we opted in, we drop into the Objective-C runtime by Apple, so we can do whatever we want there. And we just use the appropriate function from Apple in there inside our Rust code base, and we don't have to wait for Tauri or fork it or wait for PR to be merged. It's just so much quicker to go about things. For example, another example is when we wanted to build this title bar, by default, Windows, these these traffic light icons are slightly to the corner, so they're like 5 pixels away from top and left, but we want them more inside. There was no API back then in Tauri, so we also built it ourselves by just grabbing a handle to the window, going into Objective-C, and doing it ourselves. It just took us like 30 minutes. Whereas in Electron, if it wasn't implemented, you would have to do a lot more work.
Yeah, these are very impressive, and I didn't know this stuff as well. So it's really amazing. What is the best part of this application?
It's really fast, snappy, and we're focused on keeping it simple. If you've used Discord or Slack, you can see how crowded the user interface has become. I can just open it up here. Yeah. Let me. You can see these stuff don't happen anymore. It just reloaded itself. I mean, is it a website? All right, you can see how long it's taking. I can just demo the same thing with Noor. Let me just quit the app. Let me reopen. And it's boom, here. Even if the network connection is gone, it works. But it's just hit and miss with the Slack. Sometimes things load, sometimes they don't. And then you can see how crowded the interface is. And then the CPU usage while you're in a voice chat is like 3 to 5 times of Noor. I've seen it go up to 80% CPU usage. In Noor, you get almost single digit. And if you enable a screen sharing, you go max on an M1 machine, you go max to 15% CPU usage. So that's a huge difference. So you don't mind. And then you can see, let me show you something else.
Yeah.
Because we render onto the window directly without doing software decoding of the video, it's super smooth. Let me give you a demo of how viewing a screen share experience looks like in Noor. All right. So now pay attention to how quickly I can resize this window. I don't know if you can notice this in the recording, but it's super quick.
Yeah.
In no app, you can just rescale a video like that. And this is this is something that's really important to us.
And that is built. That feature is also built with Tauri, right?
Yes, it's a mix of how Tauri handles window events. It's fast, and how we could opt into and create our own NS view inside the Tauri window, because Tauri gives you easy access to the underlying Objective-C handles. And we create a view and then pass the frames directly from Apple decoder onto that layer, CA layer, and then it's like embedded inside the Tauri window, and Tauri handles the resizing, and we just give the frame, and then Apple renders it via the GPU. We achieve instant resize, high performance, and low CPU usage.
Wow, that's really amazing. And I think that I saw somewhere that the desktop app is for Apple, but later it will be for Windows. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, and how about mobile phones?
We also provide only for iOS right now, but Windows, Linux, and Android coming later.
Wow, that will be amazing. And Tairi 2.0 is also coming, and maybe it can help you in some ways as well.
We actually tried the first alpha of the mobile. It was Alpha 3. It was like a year ago,
It
almost
was
12
super
months
early.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit premature. We actually tried really hard to use it. And then our journey on mobile is also interesting. We ended up using uh, Tauri V2 Alpha, and then I was working with Lucas from Tauri team closely. It Some modules we wanted then to ship weren't ready yet, so we had to switch to React Native, and then React Native didn't work too well. We rewrote it, and then in React Native again, and it didn't work too well, and then we went for Swift, and now it's written in Swift and Swift UI. But one thing that Tauri on desktop gives us is because we're using these modules in Rust, we could just easily port them for iOS because it's just a core Rust module that easily use in Tauri. We'll just embed that into our iOS app, and that would like give us uh, a head start in how we're going to add screen sharing and voice onto iOS.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a couple notes on Tauri vs Electron. If maybe interest your audience,
Yeah, of
I
course.
we were using Electron for years. I was like a big fan of creating apps that are fast and look native in Electron, and I was on Twitter saying Electron isn't shit. You're making shitty apps. But then Tauri came along, and I saw, all right, this is much better. And I don't think people just by switching to Tauri and embedding, wrapping their web app onto it will get huge difference. But I want to point out a couple differences that I noticed.
Mhm.
First is the readable source code gives you like I mentioned before, give unblocks you in multiple places where you would be blocked if you were using Electron. The native feel scroll is elastic. If you notice in Chrome or Electron apps, if you scroll too hard, it just hard stops. But in native experience on Mac OS, it goes a little bit up and then comes back down. It's elastic, and those feelings are because Tower uses native WebView render. You get native media players, native scrolling experience without hacks, and it's more secure. So we had an easier time securing our apps in Tauri instead of Electron. In Electron, it was an afterthought. Initially, it wasn't designed with this in mind, and only after the exploits were visible and they started to including context isolation and newer stuff. Maybe I'm not aware of. It's also batteries included. In Electron, you had to stack up multiple packages like Electron Builder, the Notarizer, for embedding frameworks for GitHub Actions. Each of them had their own packages, and the teams maintaining them were different. So you might have updated your Electron version, but the Electron Builder version wouldn't have caught up. So it was hassle there. But in Tauri, it's all built by the same team. For example, yesterday there was a new release. By the way, we used the latest commit of the dev branch of Tauri, often in production. So we're living on the edge. And I saw the builder, the CLI, the API, the JS modules, and the Tauri itself, all of them were updated at the same time. So this is something you don't get. All right, I think I mentioned everything.
Yeah, we are very, very, very proud of Tyree, how fast it is. And when I say fast, I mean fast in everything from the way people are building and handling things. Then everything goes up and everyone can contribute. And something that I really like about Tyree is that when the community has a problem or they want something new, they can communicate it usually in the Discord server. They can talk about it and then very fast. You already mentioned Lucas, but there are a lot of amazing people who are working there. They are doing things fast. So this is something that I like and I appreciate.
Exactly. The community on Tauri is much more friendly, and the group of people working on making real apps with it are generally open to questions. And I've even received multiple questions on Twitter. How are you using this? Something that is cool is we have a. Let me share my screen. Some people are really excited about. Tauri to the point that they join our community space and ask us Tauri questions. That
Wow.
was, yeah, let me show you. You can see, let me go back a little. Okay, here I'm giving a snippet of how we are making our translucent background window in Tauri. And then you can see multiple people are excited about this. Two people that were creating their own apps are asking me Tauri questions here. And you can see he asked, "Is this in Tauri?" And then people get really excited when they see a very well built app in Tauri, and they share it with the people. They share on Twitter. They ask questions, and I think we are making the desktop experience for everyone much better, even if they don't use Tauri, because the standard, the bar is becoming higher for apps.
So I think that in this project you are not alone, right? You have a team of people, is that correct?
Yes, we are 4 people.
Okay, and how are you handling the different tasks or the different jobs? Are you all developers?
Yes, we are all technical, and 2 of us do design as well. And the split is two, 3 of us work on desktop app full time. One of us works more on the backend, and another one uh, alongside desktop, and another one is dedicated to iOS. That's the team combination. How we actually, each feature has an owner. Initially, it's the person who has proposed the idea or did the first implementation, and the owner decides if they want to continue working on it, checks it for bugs, gives ideas, and develops it independently. If they need a design or spec, they ask people. Actually, in Noor, they just create a thread, and let me show you how it's done in our own space. This is our own space. This is where we do work. This is a spec for a feature called focus mode. And then the owner was my teammate, and he created this thread, asked for feedback from everyone. We just dumped our feedback here. And after they gather enough feedback, they can start implementing. And until they say, okay, I don't want to own this feature anymore, they're in charge of it. So that's the way we split.
So I guess that for you and for your other team members, this is your full-time job. Is that right?
Yeah. For the past year and a half, 4 of us have been full time on Noor.
And how did it start it, and what was your general inspiration behind Noor?
So the idea of connecting people started back in 2019, where my brother and I, he's my teammate, and we were working in the same room. And then I decided to separate my room into a new room in the home that I renovated. And then as soon as we were separated, it was like immediately clear there was a barrier in communication. Previously, it was like, hey, did you do that? And then now is like, okay, which chat app do I use? And then I have to type it and then wait for the response and then use all these tools. A WhatsApp call, we used a mix of WhatsApp and Zoom, and none of them like were. All of them felt like calling, like a decade old thing. And then we started the idea of having a way to click on a teammate and talk, and then iterated for years until this point.
Wow, it's very impressive. And I like these projects that start from something that are real and they try to solve a real problem.
And then one of our teammates started 2 years ago without any background in programming or design, and she actually started to catch up on Rust and TypeScript and Swift remotely via screen sharing in Noor and voice chat. If it wasn't for the tools we built, that would have never happened. I don't think anyone can do that without a tool that you can just have 10 questions from everyone and then screen share, pair, learn, ask questions, move on, unblock yourself without a solution like this. So that's another motivation of building it.
Something else that I wanted to ask is in this development process and in general, you're still developing, when you had bugs or you couldn't find something, you did mention that some of the things that you couldn't find, you built it on your own. But in general, when you had bugs, what were you doing? Were you going to Discord and ask questions, or were you going to Stack Overflow? What was the process of that?
So if it was a Tauri related bug, I would just try to debug it myself and read the source code and go through the recent commits. So I'm pretty much on the top of every file that gets changed in the Tauri repository because of this process, and because I don't want to add extra pressure and burden on the team of Tauri because they have all their own jobs. And then if I'm completely hopeless, I first try to go back to a commit that I knew worked. And if that wasn't an option, sometimes it happens. I need something from the latest commits. And then the next option is fork and check out the commit myself. And if that wasn't an option and I was completely clueless, I just reach out to Discord.
I think that you have an amazing process. Do you think that if I don't know if you know the DevTools by CrabNebula,
Yeah.
and did you have the chance to look at them?
Actually, yesterday I looked at it again, and the unfortunate thing was I think it's for Tauri V1, and it's not
Yeah.
yet built for V2. And as I mentioned last year when we were trying the mobile version on Tauri, we switched to V2, and since then, uh, since since that's on V1, we can't use that. But I actually need that. The cool thing is it's like a great simple interface that shows all the requests that are coming from your front end to the Rust side. So you can monitor for excess usage, for too frequent events, and yeah, that's super helpful.
For the people that are watching us right now, if you haven't checked the DevTools, I will leave a link down below. But I can spill some tea that the DevTools will work for Tauri 2.0 really, really soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Hopefully.
No, it's coming, it's coming. I know. Yeah, but in the description as well, I will leave Noor and everything else that we mentioned. All right, as we are coming to an end of this video, do you have any final thoughts, or do you want to share a little bit about the future of Noor, or if you're building any other project, which I guess you're working full time? I don't know how much free time you have for other projects, but would you like to share a little bit about your future plans?
A couple cool features that are coming are hold to talk. A recent change in Tauri global hotkey module is to give you the release of a key, press and release. So we are going to add that so you can hold the key, talk, and leave it to mute automatically in any app. Another cool thing that we are finalizing now, and it's working, but we have a beta tag on it, is the caps lock key. We mapped the caps lock key to be your mic key, so you can just press it to enable your microphone in any app. And then the LED on the key, the small lights, will light up when your mic is open. So it's a physical indicator. And we use Tauri features for these. And another thing is video chat. And the thing I'm most excited about on the future of Tauri is there are some really cool stuff going on researching ways to make the app more performant and uh, and more versatile. And I would keep an eye on the latest changes on Tauri V2.
And if I actually may ask one more thing, is Noor free or paid? What is the paid system?
So it's freemium. You can use it for free, and it works. The free version works like almost like the Slack paid version, and you can have 50 channels, 50 active channels, and voice screen sharing, chatting is unlimited members you have. And soon we're free for communities forever. We're not going to charge them, and we don't have any plans for that. And then for pro teams, uh, there's a paid plan.
Okay, nice. Again, I will leave the link in the description so people can check it by themselves. All right, do you have any final thoughts?
No, that's great. Thank you for the conversation.
No, thank you very much. It was my pleasure. And for everyone that is watching us, thank you very much for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Or you can also find Mo in Discord, which I'm sure he can help you and clear your thoughts. Stay tuned and see you really soon with more videos. Bye!